TV. I'm Kate Northrup, Mahler, and this is Chris Guillebeau. And we've been hanging out in this house behind us for the weekend at South by Southwest. And actually, since I met Chris in Portland, Maine in September, I've wanted to have him on Glimpse TV. And then here we were housemates. And we waited till the last 15 minutes we have to record this, which is very typical of me. Is that typical of you?
Probably, yes. Well, thanks for having me in your awesome house.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. It's been really, really fun. So one of the things that you're known for is travel, obviously, as well as nonconformity. But I want to talk about travel first, because one of the banes of my existence is packing. And Chris was so kind as to unpack my entire car.
It took a long time.
Which is over
2
there.
or 3 hours.
So
Maybe 20 minutes.
Maybe 20 minutes. And I'd love to know if you have any, this is, it's kind of like we're, doing some fluff piece, but
okay.
I am curious if you have any packing tips.
Well, I don't know if I have any real packing tips in terms of what to take or what not to take. I guess, the more I've traveled, the more I realize, what I need and what I don't need. I guess, because I only travel with carry-on bags, of course, I never check bags or anything. Okay. And some people see that as a handicap or a limit, and they're like, how can you do that? But actually, I think the secret is the more you bring, the more stressful it is. So actually, you're going to reduce stress by bringing less. It's not a sacrifice or anything. So, for me, my running shoes probably take up the most amount of space in my bag. And everything else, I try to bring layers. I try to bring, I've got to bring my laptop and all my work stuff.
Right.
But I don't know, it works.
So less is more.
Less is more. It's kind of basic, but it helps. Especially if you're traveling internationally, lugging stuff everywhere, it just gets stressful, and you feel like this responsibility for your stuff, and where it's much easier to just go. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think
so.
That's
Super secret.
No, but the overall philosophy helps, and I think thinking about the future. I always think about the future when I'm packing I'm going to be stressed if I don't have this item that I want. So I think the mental switch and the reframe, like Chris talked about in his session yesterday, the reframe is really important. I could reframe that as, I'm going to be stressed if I actually do bring 5 pairs of boots. Right.
And, it's also like less stuff, more money. Bring more money than you think you need. Not that you're going to spend all that money, but most things can be replaced. If you need a 5th pair of boots, for example, and you have 4, maybe, I don't know, maybe you can't buy boots everywhere in the world, but that's...
I think most places I could buy boots.
Well, if you needed to buy a special kind of boots that were not available to you, that were not...
Okay. And how do you define nonconformity?
I define nonconformity, first of all, as thinking about motivations and thinking about, why we do what we do. I have this background on my laptop that says, why do you do this every single day? So whenever I open it up, I can see it there. And I think, I'm not interested in telling people what to do or what to think, but I think if more people understood for themselves why they do what they do and what they're working for and what they hope to accomplish and achieve, and how they can pursue a big dream of their own and how their life intersects with other people as well, then I think the world would be a better place.
Cool. And what's the big dream that you're working on for people who might not be familiar with you?
My personal big dream is I'm trying to visit every country in the world before my 35th birthday. So I'm 32-ish now, and got 2.5 years left. So I've done 154 countries so far over the past 10 years, and got about 40 left. That's my dream.
Has it been difficult at all? Because occasionally, I would assume, this is pretty a silly question, but because sometimes countries switch, have there been any country switches in between, so you've had to reorganize?
Very good question. Once in a while, a new country pops up.
Right.
Yeah, basically. Due to some political conflict, usually. And it's usually only like every 5 years or so. So East Timor is the world's newest country, and I'm actually going there this week.
Awesome!
So that's my next trip.
That's exciting.
South Sudan recently voted to split from Sudan, so that actually could happen. A lot of times, there'll be a breakaway province or a region or something, but that's not necessarily a country. It's not recognized internationally.
Right.
It's a long story, but the short answer is once in a while.
Okay. And so do you...
No one cares about these details.
Well, I'm kind of interested, because with a goal like that, it requires paying attention to the details. And what's the benefit for people to have a really big goal like that, even if it sounds... I'm sure a lot of people are like, why are you doing that? What's the point?
It's a difficult thing to explain. It's kind of like anyone who climbs a mountain or anyone pursues any kind of quest like that. It's often something that's personally meaningful to them.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily something that other people understand, but when you have this kind of idea you know, in your heart, or you start thinking about it and you get more and more excited about it, then I think that's a goal worth pursuing. And really, any goal, any goal that's worth pursuing has to involve a challenge or a risk of some kind. There has to be a possibility of failure. Otherwise, it's not really a goal. It's just something you do. So I derive a lot of personal, meaning and joy and strength from it. And some other people are interested in it now too, which is interesting. But that's not really my primary motivation. I mean, I think I would do it even if no one else cared. So I guess when you're trying to think about goals and what you want to do with your life, if you can answer that question, would I do this if no one else cared? That's a helpful.
That's a really good question. That is a really good question. And I bet you get asked questions a lot about traveling. I've asked you several in the past 3 days. What are some of the most annoying ones that you get? Like, or the ones that are the most irritating to answer?
Well, annoying or irritating, I don't know if I want to label them that way, but...
and probably the people who've asked them aren't watching this.
Oh, good. So. Okay, so no one watching has ever asked me what my favorite country is, probably, because I don't want to say that's annoying, it's just difficult. I don't really have a favorite country. I mean, I've done 150, and I like different places for different reasons. And I also like the process of travel, which not everyone does, but I actually like just going places, and I like, transit and being in motion, and I like thinking about going places and then reflecting about where I've been. So it's a little more complicated than one favorite country.
Do you journal?
I used to journal, and now I have a blog. I write books, and all this other writing I have to do. And so I have a nice, journal at home that was last written several months ago.
Awesome.
I think about journaling though.
You journal in your head. So do I. And as far as a writing practice goes, because you do put out a post every Monday and Thursday, like clockwork, which every time it comes into my mailbox, I'm like, wow.
Today's Monday or
really
Thursday.
On it.
Yes.
So, do you have a practice, like you get up every day and do it, or what sort of discipline?
I don't have a writing practice based on time. I think, I've often heard from other writers who have that kind of discipline, like related to the hour of the day, or setting an egg timer to write for a certain amount of time. So I think that's great. My life is a little bit different because I'm traveling continuously, and I'm in all these different places, and often different time zones, etc. So what was helpful for me was to focus not on time, but to focus on deliverables. So to focus on outcomes. And so I try to write 1,000 words a day wherever I am, like 5 to 6 days a week. And it's kind of like exercise. If I don't do it for a day or two, then it's all right. But if I miss it for a few days, I start kind of feeling antsy about it. So.
That's good. I like that. Let's see if I pick that up.
All right,
or some other version
all right,
of
Monday
that.
and Thursday, I'll see your posts.
I don't know about that. I've committed to only writing when I feel like I have something I have to say.
Cool.
But once I actually develop what I'm doing, which you very much have, I may very well have Monday and Thursday.
The trick is...
Or maybe I'll take Tuesday and Friday.
Just to be a nonconformist.
Yeah.
For me, the secret is I haven't missed a blog entry in more than 3 years since I started, and I know if I did, probably no one would care. It's not that I think the world's depending on it.
I would care deeply.
Well, that's nice of you. But I think the key point is it would be a lot easier for me to do it again. It would be a lot easier for me to miss the next one, right?
Yeah.
So once you've got a streak going, it's helpful. So I'm trying to keep it up.
Yeah. Well, it's another large, audacious goal. Sort of.
To write every Monday and Thursday?
I don't know. I mean, for a lot of people, that's actually a big deal.
Okay.
I think that, I'm going to speak for myself. One of the biggest problems in my life is just consistency.
Okay.
It across the board. So I think there's something really to that. Okay, so what do you love about your life?
Oh, I love almost everything. I love being here in Austin. It's been fun to hang out with you in this great house and go and see friends and people I know. I love the freedom that I have and the independence that I have. I love the fact that I feel like I'm working towards something. The fact that I feel like I'm connecting with people who are inspired by my work, and I'm also inspired by my connection, my relationship with them. So I'm happy.
Nice. And what are you afraid of that you're doing anyway?
What am I afraid of? Good question. Well, I think, yesterday in the session we talked about a number of fears. Fear of judgment. I'm certainly afraid of being judged and criticized. And that happens. That's just part of our process, but I'm still afraid of it. Don't like it. Afraid of getting bored. I guess that was my biggest fear for a long time.
Really?
My fear of starting something that I was passionate about, and then other people would come along and care, but then I might leave, or it might drop out, or might lose interest, and I was afraid of that for a long time. Those are a couple things.
Okay, cool.
It's probably a long list.
And so just so that people get a feel for you and what you're up to, can you give me that itinerary of where you're headed today again?
Where I'm headed
as
today?
A wrap up.
Oh, sure. So,
well, I mean, you're not going all these places today.
No, but I'm working on it. So let's see. Just in a few minutes, I'm going to drive from Austin to Dallas, and then I fly Dallas, Vancouver, JFK, have some meetings in New York for a day, and then I go to Asia, so Hong Kong, Singapore, East Timor, the world's newest country, and then home through Seoul, London, Abu Dhabi, Muscat, back to the States, Boston, Dallas, Portland. I live in Portland, Oregon when I'm not doing this.
Yeah, the lesser of the two Portlands. We met in Portland, Maine, which is my hometown.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. So thanks for coming on Glimpse TV.
Okay,
Safe
thank
travels.
you so much for having me.
Bye.
Thanks so much. It's an honor.